When Trump's tariffs hit, some Amazon sellers saw their profits vanish overnight, while others barely felt the impact. And in this video, I'm going to break down exactly how these tariffs affected Amazon and which kind of sellers came out on top so you can do the same. We're going to start off with what is a tariff, because I'm sure you've heard the word, maybe you do already know what it is, but if it hasn't affected you, then you might not have looked into it. So basically, in the shortest form that you can put it, it's a tax on goods that are coming into the country, not stuff that's already here, but when it's coming from a different country overseas, getting imported into the US, there is going to be additional charges put on that other country, which at first glance you might not think that affects us at all. But if the company that's sending it or the country that's sending it is going to be charged more to bring it into the country, it has a potential to rise the price that we're going to buy that product at when it's here. Because if they're paying extra, they need to charge extra to make up for that cost. Just like any business, just like when you're selling on Amazon, if you have a shipping charge in the US, you're going to have to potentially try to get it for cheaper or maybe sell it for higher. It's just the basics of how that all kind of works. It is designed to protect the goods that are in here, try to get people to produce in the US, but for specific purposes to do with lanes in Amazon and selling on Amazon, it could affect you negatively. And what were they? Mainly, that's going to affect Amazon sellers in different lanes is going to be the products that are coming from China. It is going to increase shipping costs and custom costs. So if you have a supplier that maybe ships from a warehouse overseas and this is a new charge to them, you may get an email from the shipping carrier. It could be UPS, it could be DHL, FedEx, something like that, saying you need to pay for the customs. You have an unpaid balance, and if you don't pay that charge, it will not get accepted into the country and it will most likely go back to where it came from. So, if you're not selling products that are coming from China, this really won't affect you that much, or just other countries that this has happened to. What are the immediate effects that you don't want to be affected by, or maybe you already did and you made this mistake? A lot of people panic bought and they knew that this was going to go into effect because it was announced a while back, and maybe they just bought a ton of inventory so that way they didn't have that extra cost. Margins became smaller because if you have that additional payment that you're going to have to pay of import duties or customs duties, you're going to have a higher buy cost. You're going to have smaller margins. You may have to raise the price. You may not be able to compete with other sellers that get it from places in the US. And also, availability is going to decrease for products because if you can't make that product profitable anymore, you're not going to be able to buy from that supplier anymore. Now, if you do run into the case where you are sourcing a product from a supplier and for whatever reason their package is coming from overseas and you get that email saying you have to pay this charge or you're not going to get the product, always reach out to the company. See if they will pay for that, because more often than not, they will end up covering that cost or have you pay it and do a partial refund to you, reimburse you for that cost. You don't want to just let the order get shipped back, get a refund without first contacting the company if for whatever reason you're doing that. Now, I'm not talking about buying products from Alibaba or AliExpress and selling them on Amazon. That is never something I would recommend, but sometimes bigger companies, small amount of them, but some do have warehouses overseas and they will store their products over there and ship them from overseas. It's not going to happen all the time. It is rare, but in that sense, you would want to do that. Do not drop ship products from China to Amazon customers. Don't buy fake versions of products from other countries overseas to then sell as real products. Do not do anything like that. This is only applying to real, authentic suppliers that have warehouses in other countries, possibly wholesalers. I know a lot of beauty wholesalers have warehouses overseas, and just some wholesalers in general. Distributors, stuff like that, where it is legitimate products that you're sourcing that just happen to have that occur. Someone that it's really going to affect is a private label seller. A lot of private label sellers will get their products made overseas because cheaper for the materials, cheaper labor, cheaper costs, just anything like that, maybe even quicker turnaround time. That's going to hit them a lot harder because they're going to have to pay for those charges for thousands of units, big shipments that are coming in. That's going to hit very hard. And it has raised the cost by potentially 10 to even as high as 25%. Landed cost just means when you receive it here in the US. Longer lead times because maybe you don't realize that you have to pay that customs fee and it's just sitting there waiting to be paid. Or maybe you don't get the notification early enough and you wait too long that it gets sent back to the seller. Then you have to reprocess your whole order all over again. But if you're doing a model like I do and like what I teach, online arbitrage, you're rarely ever going to run into this kind of situation because all of your products and all of your suppliers are coming from the US. They're coming from big name stores and retailers that have a heavy presence in the US. So there's no tariff impact on any of those products. And even if you had a really good product that maybe had that impact because it was coming from somewhere overseas, you can easily find a new product to replace that with that doesn't have that option because you're not dependent like a private label seller where you have one product, one manufacturer, and if that manufacturer gets hit with something, you don't want to go through the process of having to start this all over. Make sure it's the same quality as before. Make sure that it's just all up to the standard that you had it at because that can ruin the experience for certain customers. That can make you lose customers. Whereas OA products, there's no potential of any of that ever happening. Does it affect you? Depends on what seller you are, wholesaler, private label, OA seller. And if you were a private label seller, you might have seen most of your profits wiped out. OA sellers never had that issue because, like I said, big brand, big name companies, Walmart, Target, that's where a lot of OA sellers will get their products from. Just two for the example, but there's hundreds of them. And OA products became better because our margins are still the same. But private label sellers, their products had to raise prices if they didn't change supplier and go through all of that stuff. So you might be already having the answer to this based off of all of the information that I've just told you, but what is the better choice for you if you're looking to sell on Amazon? Because sometimes that's the hardest part of starting an Amazon business is deciding what you want to do, private label, wholesale, retail arbitrage, online arbitrage. What's the better choice? You can kind of see the factors that come into play right here. Private label, high risk. You have tariffs that can be affected and implemented at any time just based off the political state of the country. OA, online arbitrage. You don't have high risk. Very flexible on what products you can purchase and which ones you can stop selling very quickly or start selling very quickly. And it doesn't get affected by politics or any type of others' countries' politics or decisions. So for most sellers, I mean, it's pretty obvious that online arbitrage is the better choice to be able to scale quickly, to be able to consistently have this type of income keep going. Another reason, or two reasons that just didn't fit on the slide before, private label sellers struggled a lot. OA sellers had no complaints. I haven't heard from anybody that I know that's an OA seller have an issue with the tariffs. It was talked about because it was a huge thing, but nobody got affected by that, including myself. So, what did we learn from all of this? That global politics are directly impacting certain lines of Amazon, depending on what you choose. Online arbitrage, you don't have to worry about that because all of our products come from inside the US. We've said that many times. Flexibility and adaptability protect your profits because you can pivot very quickly to different products and get rid of other products. And the way to survive it is by sourcing smart. So if you run into a company where you see that they're shipping from outside the US, maybe you don't go with that supplier because you don't want to run into that. Maybe you check with them and see, will they cover those costs? Are they already included that I don't have to worry about that before you go ahead and place a huge order for something, or even a small order for something, and realize that your margins are wiped out because they're not going to pay for those kind of costs there. If you guys are interested in starting your own Amazon business and making over 5 figures a month profit, just like I do every single month, click the link down in the description. If you have any questions about anything I went over in this video, or there's any other videos that you want to see me make, leave a comment down below. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.